News this week. 50-team Super League. MLS and Liga MX. Little background on this one. Don Garber, good old Donnie Don, went ahead and met with Liga MX officials to talk about a 50-team Super League, 30 teams from MLS, so the 30 that we'd have by 2022, and 20 teams from Liga MX. They'd have to find new teams. I think they're only at 16 right now. Question mark, maybe? Yes.
Yes.
I think it's 16 or 18. So they got to bring more teams up. Thoughts on this, Adam?
Oh, I'm all here for it.
I hate you.
I think I'm not, but I'll make the argument for it. So yeah, the plan is 30 MLS teams, which we've already established is going to be a thing. Ideally, they want 20 Liga MX teams. The plan is to merge the two in 2026, so just in time for the World Cup. 4 divisions, 12, 13 teams, which is certainly much more manageable than the, one division 30 team MLS that we were talking about before. Why this could work is that the US, Canada, and Mexico are already hosting the World Cup together. That bid's already, been accepted. I can't wait. So FIFA kind of already has some sort of idea on how a tri-country competition would work. I think it would allow soccer in this country to take that kind of next step. It would introduce MLS fans to Liga MX and those teams and that culture down there, and vice versa. So it would see Liga MX fans, introduced to Orlando. Well, that's a bad example. Or I don't know, a Montreal, teams that they wouldn't necessarily see unless they play in the odd CCL game that no one watches except us. I think the playoff system would be probably the most difficult aspect of combining leagues. I had a couple ideas on how this could run, and let me know your guys' thoughts. It could be similar to how Liga MX do promotion relegation, so like a 2-year kind of playoff cycle. First year, points work as normal. So, just like the MLS does now, end of the season, top 8 teams or whatever get seeded, and they have a playoff to determine the winner. That'll be, I don't know, we'll make some random name up for that trophy. And then the second year, we would have a combined 2-year point total. So you have to be good both years. It encourages teams to not just settle for mediocrity. Orlando, I'm looking at you. And then you'd have a combined kind of point total seeding for the second year for another playoff, but it would be based on how you've done over the past 2 years. Part of this is if the MLS is dead set on let's just add teams forever and ever and ever, we'll have every city will have its own MLS team, and we'll have a 7,000 team league. I don't care at this point. You'd have to implement some sort of promotion relegation. I think that's the obvious step, and we've already spoken about it. I wouldn't be surprised if Garber wanted 50 teams in the league, but there aren't 50 places in the MLS that could support a franchise. We're already looking at 4 in California. No one's going to put a franchise in Idaho or North Dakota because I don't think people actually live there. I think it's a made-up place. But that's why teams like Montreal, Toronto, and Vancouver are a welcome part of our league. Those places can support franchises. They're very successful, and they add a different element to the MLS. So I think adding Liga MX could pretty much do the same thing. Andrew, convince me why I'm wrong.
Well, I'm not here to convince you why you're wrong, Connor is, but what I will say...
Oh, that's fair. Connor, convince me why I'm wrong.
what I will say is I think you make interesting points, but I think the playoff system is not the issue to me, because I don't know if they'd even have a playoff system because there's so many teams.
You have to have
where do you draw the cutoff? How do you do it? That's just thoughts on me. But Connor, what else do you have to add?
So it would be a 5-team from each division.
Of what, 10 divisions?
4. Four divisions, 12 teams, I think, is how they wanted it to be organized.
It doesn't make sense. You can't do that
Why not?
That's
because
48
4
teams.
doesn't go into 50.
I said 12 to 13.
Oh, okay.
So you want 12 in one, 13 in another, 12 in one, 13 in another.
Yeah, what do you want from me? I'm not Don Garber. I'm not running this.
Connor, go ahead and tell him why he's wrong.
This shouldn't even be a debate. This is a terrible idea. This is horrible. We're already talking about 30 teams being too many in MLS. Now you want to do 50. That's just insane.
It's America,
even if
dude.
Even if you split it into divisions, it's still way too many teams challenging for one title. The only way that this could possibly work is if you have promotion and relegation. And then even if you put that in, I still think that this is a terrible idea because the players are going to hate this, first of all, because the amount of traveling that they're going to have to do is insane. You're going to have to go across borders, both directions. You're going to have to go to Canada. You're going to have to go to Mexico. That's going to take forever because every time you're going to fly to Mexico or back, you have to go through customs and all that stuff. If you're flying, if you're driving, then still you got to go through the border and everything. It would be just a nightmare for traveling for them. They're going to be exhausted. They're going to be so tired. And then not to mention, if you have 50 teams, there's no shot you're playing every team in the league because that would just 49 games would be insane. That'd be way too many. So then you're going to have some fan bases arguing like, oh, you guys had an easy schedule because you didn't have to play these great teams that did amazing this year. And then it's like, did this team really deserve to win it? I don't know. I think it's only fair if you have a shot to play against every team. That's kind of like that's how it is in most of the leagues. And
so just not to cut you off, but the League Two in England
I noticed
that
you
has
said
20.
now I'm going to cut you off for a second. You said a lot. I don't mean to cut you off, and then you cut him off anyway.
Sorry, but the England League Two has 24 teams, and everyone plays each other twice. So they play like 46 games in a season, which I agree is ridiculous, but it is something that happens.
Andrew, were you going to say something?
Nope. I was letting you guys go at it. I think the one thing that we have to put an asterisk next to is that CONCACAF needs to approve this, right? They can't just be like, ha, new league, let's go, let's have some fun with it, because it would also have an effect on Champions League, right? How are you going to find a way to get teams in from Champions League? I mean, look at the way that, and we talked about it, right? Look at the way Champions League is already decided, right, Adam? The best losing quarterfinalist and the second worst semifinalist, and you have all these little stipulations, right, of how to get random teams in here. Now you're going to make a 50-team Super League and find a way to get teams from all 3 countries in? It's crazy.
I want a 2,000 team World League where everyone plays everyone, and it takes 10 years to complete one league. That's the goal.
Oh my god.
If that's your goal, I'm glad you're not running my league.
Yep.
One other thing I wanted to say too was oh crap, I forgot.
That's okay. We have post-editing.
What was I gonna say?
He got lost into how bad his hair looked today.
Yeah, that's it. The merging of the 2 leagues. You're gonna have to like find a way to condense rules because I'm sure Liga MX is not doing TAM and GAM, so you'd have to figure out your financial situation.
Yet.
Not yet. I don't think they want to conform
them.
to it. I don't think you're going to convince them.
They're looking.
Connor,
they're looking to get rid of.
Connor, it's only taken you what, 6 years to figure out the difference between them? How long can it take them?
I still don't know the difference.
Yeah, still don't know.
But Liga MX was looking to get rid of promotion relegation, which is a whole big thing.
It is. I guess one point to, I guess Adam, on his side is the fact that you're going to open up to a lot of really good talent too, right? Because Liga MX has a ton of spending power, right? Even if you're not condensing the spending ability, right? Just seeing players like Yignac and Ener Valencia, for example, Eduardo Vargas, right? Players from Tigres who can go all over the world and have made a name for themselves in Europe, coming in and playing against a team like FCC. They'll get rocked. But it'll be
great
though. So, I think it's a very interesting thought, the fact that not only that, you're also giving people, I guess, what's the right term to use it, right? Like the people who watch it on TV all the time are now going to be able to see different teams. I think Adam kind of spoke to it a little bit, but not just on TV. I don't know, Adam, if you meant like watching them on TV, like their team play a different team, but also they'll be able to watch different teams live, right? Like
Yeah.
I've seen New York City play Red Bull 4 times. I saw LA play once. I saw Vancouver play once, and I saw Chicago play once. I think that is literally the extent of my team, because it's just that's how the schedule works. That's how the games I get to go to and the games that I pick end up being. But now you're able to see them both live and on TV at all times. So
Yeah, I think that's also another problem with MLS. The way it is right now is not everyone plays every team.
yeah,
I mean, there are enough games and teams in the league where everyone should play each other at least once, and then you play your division rivals, a second time.
mm-hmm. Right. And I guess one more pro that I'll give out here. You're looking at the term that I found here, because I just did a quick Google search while I was researching, and the term is cross pollination, right? So you're taking the big money market of the U.S. and Canada and giving it to Mexico, who doesn't reach a lot of people because it's mainly seen as a, I guess, lesser league that mostly is seen on this side of the world, and mainly just that country. They don't really expand out much, except for me and Querétaro. Vamos los gallos. But then you're also taking the football passion in Mexico, and bringing it over. So you're kind of getting a little bit of both on each side. But can you do it without 50 teams? Like, my goodness, you couldn't do it with, oh man, let's cross-pollinate these topics. Can we do a promotion relegation where the bottom half of each teams play each other? So like if we do the bottom 10 of Liga MX and the bottom 15 of MLS play against each other, then the top 15 and the top 10 play, and then there's Pro Rel mixed into there. That'd be sick.
No, because I don't want to see the bottom of Liga MX play FC Cincinnati. I think I'd claw my eyes out.
Well, and that's my point, and that goes back to my point before, right? You relegate teams, nobody's gonna want to watch them play. Man, I love how things go full circle, don't you?
It's almost like we planned it.
You know what's great is how I'm always right when it comes to these things.
Sure.
Any closing arguments, boys, or we can go on to the final question of the day.
Quick petition to add Phoenix Rising and Forward Madison to future MLS teams.
I'll sign that.
Cool.
Good.